We continue with the series of The Small Things Count. I recently saw recounted in the name of the great teacher of our generation, Rabbi Shimshon Pincus, who died tragically at a young age, and he describes an incident that happened which has tremendous impact to it. It is well known that Rosh Hashanah is a very potent, powerful day. And everything that one does on the days of Rosh Hashanah has a massive impact in the heavens. And it is also well known, and there's popular bidding done for this, that one of the haftarah that is read on Rosh Hashanah is the haftarah describing Chana. Chana, who was barren and childless for many, many years, and she suffered immensely, and she had tremendous pain from the fact that she was surrounded by a family. Her husband's other wife had many children, and she was suffering tremendously. And the Haftarah recounts how at one point, when she was bitterly crying to her husband the fact that they were childless, that she was childless, her husband responded to her that you, my dear wife, are worth more than many children. Trying to console her, telling her that his love for her is so great, he loves her even without children, consoling her. But Chana read into this something very deeply. She read into this that he had given up hope. And therefore, he was no longer making spiritual efforts that they should be gifted, they should receive the gift of a child. So she that year decided to take things into her own hand. And she went along with him, and they came to the Mishkan, they came to the divine tabernacle, and she went, and it's a well-known story, how she is recounted, how she prayed for hours, praying silently, and to the point that the high priest, Eli, thought that she was drunk, because there was a woman who was muttering for standing in the holy place and muttering and saying to herself. And the fact is that the end of this is that she was granted a gift of a child, the great Shmuel HaNavi, the greatest prophet that Am Yisrael ever had. As it's said, David HaMelech describes Moshe ve'Aaron b'Kohanav. Moshe and Aaron were great, but Shmuel b'Korei Shmo, he was equally great to them. So she was granted this tremendous gift of this child Shmuel. It's said about her, it's a well-known zgula, it's a well-known aid, spiritual aid, that someone who gets the haftarah on Rosh Hashanah, on this holy day, when the story of Chana is read, if she is childless, this can be a great spiritual help for her to be able to be blessed with a child. And there was a certain great Hasidic Rabbi that when someone would buy this aliyah that gave them the haftarah of Chana, the Rebbe would accompany it with his own bracha, and it is said to work. So there was a man called Moshe, so says Rav Pincus, a man called Moshe who traveled a great distance in order to be on Rosh Hashanah with this great Rebbe. And he decided, since they were childless for many years, he decided he's going to bid. And the bidding started for this aliyah. And there was another person who was in the shul, in that synagogue, with the same problem. And he was bidding. And the bidding went, and it got to, finally, it got to $10,000, went up to $20,000. And finally, Moshe managed to win the auction, and he bought this aliyah for $36,000 to his great satisfaction. He paid $36,000 It's a very cheap price to pay if he has a chance of being gifted with a child. And as the synagogue service proceeded, it came the time when he was about to be called up for this aliyah that he had bid for, and he had dreamt of having this aliyah the whole year. He suddenly started thinking, what about the other fellow? The fellow who was bidding against me. He obviously must have such sadness in his heart. He also probably trekked in from somewhere far, and he was willing to pay so much money, and in the end I outbid him. What about him? And just before he was called up, he went over to the Rabbi and said, I've paid, I'm going to pay, but call the other fellow up. To the shock of the Rabbi. And the next thing, the entire synagogue was shocked that the man who bid so much money for his aliyah ceded the aliyah to the other fellow got the aliyah. 9 months later, says Rav Pinkus, this fellow was rewarded for his great noble action. A beautiful baby, healthy baby girl was born to him. It seems like a trivial issue, but when someone is showing compassion on any level, it is something which reaches far and reaches deep.